Kia ora, ko Holly Thorpe, tōku ingoa, no te whare wānanga o Waikato ahau. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Holly Thorpe. I'm a professor at the University of Waikato in Te Huataki Waiora, which is the School of Health. I'm a sociologist of gender, the body, and embodiment. And particularly, I've been focused on moving bodies, physically active and sporting bodies. And through this research, I've been very focused on women's lived experiences. And being invited here to speak has made me realise that my research is not focused explicitly on gestation, but strangely the before and after the gestational period. My research has looked at menstruation and reproductive health in women's sport. I'm involved in a charity in New Zealand around period poverty in Aotearoa. Continue to work with them. Some of my research has looked at mothers' experiences of physical activity after giving birth with babies, so particularly with pelvic floor issues, birthing injuries, the various challenges facing mothers to be physically active, the social pressures to lose that baby fat, while also dealing with fatigue and all these types of uncertainties. I've got PhD students one's working and looking at menstruation and fertility tracking apps, another from PG who's doing work on Pacific sportswomen's understandings of menstruation. And most recently, I've been working on a 3-year project with over 100 New Zealand women about their experience of wellbeing during the pandemic. And 24 were mothers, including those who were pregnant, gestating, and gave birth during lockdowns and social restrictions. And in this context, when we heard from mothers, women who had given birth, vaccinations, or the vaccine, were highly politicised biomedical technologies that played a significant role in the construction of the fetal and maternal body and discourses of risk and responsibility. And the mothers that we spoke to, some of them were teenage mothers, single mothers, working mothers of all sorts, different socioeconomic backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, and they had varying views on vaccines. And they were overwhelmingly targeted by misinformation groups who were really using fear to try to persuade their decisions. But mothers were navigating mixed messages during this time and heightened social scrutiny of their bodies and their choices. So I've kind of worked around the edges of gestation over the years. And upon reflection, I don't really know why gestation was the phase or stage that I've overlooked. As a feminist scholar who prioritises and values lived experience and reflexivity, I'm going to put it out there that I experienced over 10 years ago now a condition called amenorrhea, and this was related to exercise and diet, but it's basically chronic loss of menstruation. This was not, I didn't see this as a problem at the time. It was quite normalised in sporting and exercise cultures during that time, but it was only when I started thinking that I wanted to maybe have children that I started exploring that more, and actually some of the research kind of started merging with this. But it was difficult for us to conceive. My first pregnancy ended in miscarriage, and then I've had 2 beautiful children who are now 6 and 9. So I've gestated 3 times. My body was torn, stitched and stretched, and forever changed through these experiences. Many amazing feminist scholars have written about the experiences of pregnant embodiment and birth. Feminist philosophical writings on pregnancy have included the works of Simone de Beauvoir, Iris Marion Young, Christine Battersby, just to name a few. One of my favourite feminist geographers, Robin Longhurst, who works at the University of Waikato with me, has done amazing work on pregnant and leaky bodies in public and private spaces. And feminist feminology, obviously amazing work in this space as well, by the work of people such as Imogen Tyler in terms of reframing pregnant embodiment. And as Christine Battersby reminds us, Whether a woman is lesbian, infertile, postmenopausal, or childless, she will be assigned a subject position linked to a body that has perceived potentialities for birth. And of course, there are myriad pregnant embodiments that people experience, and we need to move away from gendered and human reprosexually based gestation. We need to loosen the grip of gender on our imaginings of pregnancy and gestation. And towards this end, over the past 8 years, maybe 10 years, my research has shifted from more feminist post-structuralism and towards feminist new materialism. So this actually came about with my experiences of Anne Maria, where I became really fascinated in understanding the agency of hormones and bodies as biocultural creatures, where the biological and the cultural are always entangled and relational. So I've drawn inspiration from feminist new materialisms. This is a book that we wrote a few years ago with my colleagues Julie Bryce and Marianne Clark, Feminist New Materialism, Sport and Fitness, A Lively Entanglement. And we do not talk about gestation in there. But it's obviously feminist new materialism. Some of you will have heard this, some of you will be deep in it, some of you will have walked around it intentionally. It's a broad umbrella term, a range of different theoretical approaches, but scholars working in this space are working to try to move beyond Cartesian dualisms of Western thought: nature, culture, active, passive, self, other, mind, body, subject, object, matter, meaning, just to list a few of those. And as Victoria Pitts Taylor writes, new materialists are interested in exposing the movement, vitality, morphogenesis, and becoming of the material world, its dynamic processes. And a few feminist scholars are taking up new materialisms to reimagine gestation and pregnancy. In particular, Chikato Takeshita draws upon Karen Barrad's agential realism to challenge long-standing dualism between mother and fetus. She argues that the fetus does not pre-exist as an object with a distinct agency who interacts with the mother, but only materializes through what Barrad calls interaction. She explores mother-fetus, one word, as an apparatus of bodily production. So drawing upon Barrad's theory of agential realism, Takeshita argues that the fetus is a phenomenon that is constituted and reconstituted out of historically and culturally specific iterative interactions of material discursive apparatuses of bodily production. Try saying that with your jet lag. She cites the work of Myra Hurd and Maria Fannin, who have explored the agency of the pregnant body. Hurd explores the corporeal generosity of the placenta, and Fannin the placental relations. Here describing the placenta as the site where reciprocally productive exchanges are mediated between the pregnant person and the fetus. Here, Elizabeth Rose and Fausto Sterling and Linda Burke's use of the Mobius strip metaphor, I think, is a really powerful way of thinking about the dynamic relation between mother-fetus and beyond dualisms. And so today, I want to kind of extend Takeshita's efforts toward an alternative ontology of the materiality of the pregnant body. Taking inspiration from feminist new materialisms, I'd like to explore, or let me maybe join me in exploring the idea of gestation as becoming, as a more than human process, an affective, entangled, biocultural, embodied experience. Hope, fear, anxiety, longing, desire, loss, terror, joy, even ambiguity. A complex, affective assemblage surfacing through gestation, interacting with others, humans, technologies, matter, space and time. Gestation is a period in which one becomes ever more attuned to the body as dynamic, fluid, material discursive and relational. A period or process profoundly shaped by culture, religion, spirituality, kinship. The body comes to be known differently through relations with hormones, technologies, fetus, baby, is real or imagined, past, present, future knowledges, gendered discourses, and so much more. The body comes to be known differently through human and more than human touch, kicking from within, or worse, the terror of when the kicking stops. The caresses, wanted and unwanted, from family, friends, and strangers. Gestation is a process in which the body is made strange, a queering, or rather a querying of the body and its capacity, its potential to love, to grow, to destroy, to imagine something other than self, beyond the subject. The touch of cloth or clothing, clinging tight in new ways to changing curves, shapes, and bumps. I propose the possibility of thinking about gestation as more than human becoming, human body and fetus, and placenta and blood, water, hormones, nutrients, DNA, data, imagery, doctor, midwife, kin, strangers, technology, clothing, fatigue, skin, flesh, fat, policy, medical and scientific knowledge, weather, bacteria, viruses, politics, pollution, climate change. How might feminist new materialisms encourage new questions or ways of thinking about gestation and agency? Not just individual human body agency to act or activate, but other human and non-human actants entangled in gestation as a more than human becoming. And I wonder how gestation as a process of becoming with the material discursive will be impacted in futures unknown. I wonder about those complex relations between gestation and the environment. What does gestational justice look like in the context of climate change? Thank you.